Hi guys, it's Joe and you're watching Fonehouse.co.uk. Now, while we eagerly anticipate the release of the Sony Xperia Z4, they've given us a taster with the M4 Aqua. It's a phone with premium looks and some of the capability. Let's take a closer look and find out what it's all about. On holding this device for the first time, you are not disappointed. It certainly feels and looks like a beautiful and well-made Sony smartphone. Sony have named it the Omni Balance design, and we agree. The balance and feel as we check out the design features certainly do have that air of quality about them. It's made out of polycarbonate and the dimensions are 145.5 by 72.6 by 7.3 millimeters with a 5-inch screen, and it weighs a satisfactory 136 grams. The top LED light glows different colours depending on the notification, which is fun, but we didn't really investigate much further. It may be useful for someone who's expecting a text but doesn't want to constantly check their phone. The power button is on the middle right with the volume just below, so it's easy peasy for any sized hand. And they've also provided us with a camera button, which is not commonplace, but is actually really useful. The M4 is also available in 3 simple colours, so you won't have to spend hours choosing the perfect combination. So, it's robust, tastefully designed and a decent size. In short, for a mid-range phone, we like. Perfect for beach life or dusty work environments, this model has maintained the Sony dust and waterproof features. This time they've removed the sometimes awkward covers from the headphone and USB ports and engineered them to be water and dust proof and coverless, so no need to double check before you dive in. They've also provided a standby mode that turns off apps and functions if the screen goes off, along with something called stamina mode that manages the use of your features. Along with its funky Bravia HD TVs, Sony have managed to create decent screen quality at mid-range cost on this handset, and at 5-inch it's a good size. It has a 720p resolution and a pixel density of 294 ppi, and for those busy peeps too, the touchscreen is responsive and nice and sensitive. The M4 Aqua gives us its Snapdragon 610 processor, keeping the cost reasonable. So, how does it work out when we give the handset a workout? Well, it's an octa-core 64-bit, but does struggle with multitasking. The CPU speed is 1.46 GHz, and it has just under 2 gigs of RAM, but with all this put together, we did encounter a few judders. Surfing and Chrome usage seems to incur stalling and take some patience, and we had a few apps and games crashing on us, so in short, treat it gently and it will be reasonable in return. In terms of the apps you get included as standard, you get Spotify, which replaces the no longer available Sony Unlimited Music, and you get Movies, which connects you to Sony's supply and online store, and PlayStation as well. The M4 is mid-range in its performance and its capability, so as long as your usage is average, it will provide you with a steady service. We have a 5 megapixel super wide angle front camera, so you can fit even more of your mates in the shot. Plus there's a 13 megapixel main camera that's packed with Sony tech, such as Super Auto that recognises 52 different scenarios and configures them to its optimum settings, so you don't have to do a thing. Sony have boasted perfect shots every time, and yes, they are pretty darn good. They've also given a broad manual mode for those who like to stay in control or know what they're doing. But while the camera is fantastic, sometimes the processor can't support everything you're trying to do, and the capability of the processor does leave one a little frustrated. But for the price point, the photographs produced are good and come out with a lot of clarity and a good depth of colour. With the M4 Aqua, Sony have been mindful of its capability and stuck with a 1080p at 30 frames per second, which is enough as any more would make it unusable or require an upgrade in processor. Skyping and FaceTime also work pretty well. Basically, you can make decent videos in varying light that will be more than acceptable when uploaded to social media. The M4 Aqua makes a pretty big boast when it claims 2-day battery life, and it seems that this is achieved by using a low resolution screen along with the Snapdragon 615 processor, and while it can last up to 2 days, if you manage your usage and maybe implement the key features provided by Sony, that's not always that easy. Anyway, these features include pausing apps when the phone goes into automatic standby and using that stamina mode we mentioned, which provides core facilities such as calls and text only. Other than that, if you are going to access Wi-Fi and do lots of downloading, expect this handset to repay you with the battery levels that you will see in most phones on the market. Charging is also fairly good though. So overall, the M4 Aqua is a good mid-range smartphone with a great screen, dust and waterproof features and a good camera. However, it is let down by its slow processor speeds, but it will do the job just fine as long as you don't push it super hard.